Okay, so everyone, welcome to this webinar that will be organized by myself and Dr. Femke. So I am Lisa from Lisa Coaching, and actually I came in contact with Dr. Femke because I had some struggles myself with my period and also with having a lot of bloating, and Dr. Femke could really help me with this, and that's also why I think she's the perfect expert to guide you guys as well with your questions and also give you a little bit more of information. So thank you, Dr. Femke, to also be here tonight.
You're welcome. It's nice. I always like to talk to women. Actually, I also like to talk to men, but to women in general, I always like it. Maybe I can, because I see some familiar faces. I see some faces that I don't know yet. So maybe I shall first introduce myself. And I'm tonight Femke. I'm tonight not the doctor. So please call me Femke. And for everyone during the whole webinar, if we have questions, just shout. I don't mean to shout in the microphone, but write down in the chat your questions and I try to answer them. And if I don't know it, that can happen. I come back to you later with the answers. Yeah, so I'm from the Netherlands. I think you can hear that from my accent. I'm already living not in the Netherlands since 20 years. In April 20 years, I'm already abroad, but I still have my Dutch accent. Studied in Maastricht. Loved my study, of course, medicines, and I finished in 2000. I have to think 2002. Worked for 1.5 years at the ER. And then I didn't really know what to do. So I decided to move to the sunshine for 3 months, and I ended up in Cyprus. I'm a sport fanatic. That's also why I love to talk about this subject. I love to stimulate women to sport. So ended up in Cyprus for supposedly 3 months. It became 13 years. I loved it there. I was 27 and the whole world was in front of me. I'm very tall. I'm 187, the Dutch height. So good in sports. So easily I joined some national teams. I played in Cyprus for beach tennis and squash. We traveled all around Europe, had a great time. After that, I was the sports doctor of the Dutch national teams that came to train for the Olympics that were in London for the beach volley and the volley. So I'm a sport fanatic. Now I'm a little bit older. I sport a little bit less, but I can still do it without it. How did I end up? Because recently I'm living in Castelldefels, which is a small pueblo close to Barcelona, since 2017. Got 2 daughters in 2015 and 2017, and then the life in Cyprus is very small. I know that there are some Cypriots also locked in. I'm very sorry, but the island is very small. So I decided to raise my kids in the beautiful Spain. We live here now since 2017. I love it. I started surfing 2 years ago and I love it. I'm still running. I love running. Running for me, I work very hard. Running for me is a way to release everything. What is actually my profession? I didn't say yet. So I'm a family doctor with a little bit of a creative way of getting my title, because in Cyprus they didn't have the specialization, so I had to do post-graduation together with the UK. Working now in Spain in a different way than a traditional way. I work online, so I help people all around Europe. It's super nice. I have patients still in Cyprus, in Holland, in Spain, of course, in the UK, in France, lately Italy. I'm very much in lifestyle related, very much indeed sports related, and lately more also in women health. I love to guide women, and because of my age, lately also a lot in the menopause and what's the difference in there, and indeed also guiding people in the way how to accept the different phases of life that we women go through. So that's in a nutshell how I am. And maybe for the people that don't know you yet, Lisa, because I know you as my patient, it's super nice. I love to work with sports people, but maybe also to explain a little bit what you do, because it's nice.
Yeah. So I'm an online running coach as well, and I am also a professional athlete. So I'm mostly focused on running in the mountains. Last year was my first really like race season year that I really focused on racing it. Before it was always like just to have some fun and pushing my limits. But last year I really started focusing on racing, and because it really takes a lot of training, a lot of
You just need to
effort.
put it on loudspeaker.
Excuse me.
Unfortunately, I'm not period,
Oh,
so you know,
great. So yeah, because I am now training a lot, that's also why I really have to watch like every aspect of my life. So not only my trainings, but also my nutrition, my rest. Yeah, literally my whole life is now about sports, about running. And it's really nice to combine my passion for the sport with also guiding others to achieve their dreams. So yeah, and that's actually also how I got in touch with Dr. Femke, because I was doing a competition, a race in Chamonix in France. And I was after the race I wasn't supposed to have my period, but I had my period and I was like, yeah, what is happening here? And that's when Dr. Femke really helped me. So that's actually the first time we had contact, because after a race there I had some feminine problems, and we stayed in contact afterwards. So that's also a little bit our connection. And also after, I think it was after Tunisia this year, that we got in contact again, because I had really a lot of bloating problems. And then we really looked into the details what it could be. So that was also not only like with a traditional doctor, they would say like, hey, you have a pill for this and you're fixed. But with Femke, we really looked into my whole lifestyle and really like all of my habits. And we really looked at the total picture and not just at the one part. And I think that's also what more women need, especially in sports, to not only have like, oh yeah, you feel like this, take a pill, but that you really look at the whole aspect of your life. That's also what I try to do with my athletes. If they say like, yeah, training didn't go well, okay, what was the cause? Was it stress? Was it bad sleep? Was it because you were not drinking enough? So I really think there should be more attention to women health when they are doing sports. So yeah, let's maybe start, because I'm also really excited to learn a little bit more about your knowledge about this subject.
For anyone that's logged in a little bit later, there is possible to ask questions, but please not with the microphone. Try to write a question on the chat, and whatever I can answer, I answer. What I don't know, for sure later on I can answer for you after I get the correct source. It's nice to catch into this because you say, hey, women health, we need to know more. It's shocking actually that how little studies there are, because when Lisa asked me, oh, do you want to do the talk? I think, yes, that's okay. I will look up some research. I always like, we doctors, we like everything to be proven with research. Almost nothing to find about women athletes, women health in sports. Looking into that more is only since the last 3 years that are actually women edited to any scientific research. The problem is with women is that we have our periods, we have our hormones. What is expensive to put in research, because yes, we have to take that into account, and a man is much easier. They don't have the hormones. You check it and basta. So lately, only now, I found studies from around 2018, 2019, and 2020 that look into a little bit more about athletes, women that sport, and what's the effect of the hormones that we women have, what's different with men. And we have 400 periods on average in our life. 400 is a lot. So if we can only understand 100, that would be already great. So let's first start with what is actually a period. What is the menstruation cycle? Because if we understand the cycle, we also can understand which hormones are actually interfering in which week of the cycle. And as soon as we understand this, we can understand our complaints, and we can understand a little bit how we have to react on it. So I always believe in there needs to be theory, and then later on, if we understand, everything falls apart, falls in the puzzle, falls together. So maybe let's start with the first slide. Yeah, so menstrual cycle. Can you put in the first slide, Lisa?
Yeah, the first slide is there.
Okay, I cannot see it. Does everyone else see the first slide? I don't see your slide.
Can everyone see the slide? I got a yes.
I can see the slide. I can't see the slide, but it doesn't matter. I know what the slide is. Yeah, so the first slide, but it's quite annoying. So how can I see the slide? No, it doesn't matter. So in the first slide, I believe we can see 3 different colors. The first color shows a period, the second color shows a second period, and there's the third color shows a third period. So with a period, I don't mean the menstruation, but 3 different cycles. Because what is a menstruation cycle is on average 28 days. That is divided in 3 different parts. Yeah, day 0, day 1 is actually the reset button, is our period. That's where the cycle is starting. If we look into that, we have from day 1 the period that lasts on average 5 days. From then on, we have around 9 days what we call the follicular period. Then we have an ovulation, and the last 14 days is the luteal phase. It's what you see also in the picture. So we have the first 2 weeks officially are called follicular phase, ovulation, luteal phase. And in the first 5 days of the first period, the follicular phase, we have our menstruation. Yeah. If we look at the second slide, if you can put on the second slide.
Yeah. Second slide is on.
Yeah. Yes, now I can see it. If you look on the second slide, you actually see a few colors because we have 2 different hormones to make it easy. Yeah? Everything is much more complex. But we have actually 2 hormones that are very important for the women's symptoms that are estrogens and progesterone. If we look at the chart, we see one line in the first, the red line. We see that it's red. Yeah, that's the estrogen. So in the first 2 weeks of our menstrual cycle, the estrogen is very important. Yeah. The second part, what we see is that the estrogen is peaking again. It means in the second phase, in luteal phase, we have a second peak of the estrogen, but more important in the second part is the progesterone. So very important to remember, first part of the cycle is estrogen, second part of the cycle is mainly progesterone, but also estrogen. And if you look well at the picture, you see that the first few days, there are actually almost no hormones. That is our menstruation. Yeah, so let's start with the menstruation. What is there? Menstruation is hardly any hormones. We have complaints, we feel bloated, we feel cramps, we feel fatigue. Always listen to that. So if we start training, remember, I don't have hormones, definitely not in day 1 and day 2. So don't push yourself, recover. Start with rehydrating. And if you want, train technique. In that period, somehow women are very sharp. So if we train, start slowly, listen to body, recovery training, or if we do a sport that you can do technique, focus on the technique. Yeah. You see that from day 2, 3, 4, 5, we see slowly the estrogens rising. Yeah, there are women that actually have the peak performance. It means the best time of the month from day 2 till 5. Quite a lot of golden medals are won in that period. But every woman is unique. Many women now say, my God, when I have my period, I don't even want to leave my couch. Yeah. So theoretically, yes, day 2 till 5, we can peak. Yeah. The thing what is important is don't start laying on the couch. We have to move. We have to move. Never stop training, but listen to your body. If you feel bloated, if you feel cramps, fatigue, it is because we don't have hormones. Relax, recover, and focus on technique. From the moment we go further in the follicular phase, it's in the after 5 days until 14 days, you see that there's a peak rise in estrogens. Estrogens, we have power. Estrogens, the muscles, they love it. So we can do muscle building, we can do fat burning, you can resist pain better. So in that week is the week that we can start high energy training. We also notice estrogen is an anti-inflammatory. So we notice that in the body, inflammations go down, we get less stiff. we get less stiff muscles, stiff tendons, what can make that we can do much more sports. So if we want to train full, theoretically again, start training in that follicular phase. Follicular phase is the phase from the period 5 days later until 14 days. Yeah. The peak is with the ovulation. Yeah. After theoretically 14 days. There are women that have 21 days of a cycle. There are women that have 30 days of the cycle, but on average, in the middle, we have an ovulation. What is an ovulation? Yeah, the whole menstrual cycle in women is about getting pregnant. So ovulation is eggs are pumping, we are ready to get fertilized, and we feel fantastic. Yeah, so remember, around the ovulation, it's the peak, we feel great, we feel happy, because the nature wants us to have sex, we can train hard. Yeah, always remember, muscles burn proteins. So if we think about that ovulation, if we want to work harder, eat enough proteins. Yeah. Second phase is progesterone goes up, because we have to prepare for when we get pregnant. That's not the estrogens that do it. Estrogens go a little bit down, and we see that progesterone is rising. Progesterone is a hormone that's okay, but it makes us a little bit tired. Yeah, it's completely the opposite as estrogen. It doesn't give us energy. It's fat storing, not fat burning. Yeah, so it's muscle sparing. So the whole cycle is there completely different. Listen to that. Low intensity, low power. We get bloated. We think we're gaining weight. No, your body mass index go up because we have water retention. Yeah, so accept it. It is like that. You cannot lose weight in that time. Listen to it, feel it. Don't look at your scale. It's water that we have. So if you want to do something, listen to your body. You can still train, but much lower intensity, no heavy lifting, and take a little bit more endurance. Yeah, because in the late, we call it the late luteal phase. I always call it luteal phase, but it's very Dutch. I think we're British, we call it luteal phase, is that we get really the problems. We see that both hormones are a little bit going down. So the happiness is going away. We want to crave, we want to eat. Why do we want to eat at the end of the cycle? It's because the body wants to keep the carbohydrates, because maybe we get pregnant, we need that for later. Yeah, so don't crave, but understand what's there. And if we crave the correct things. Yeah, give yourself some more recovery time, because there's one other special thing that's happening. What's for sports people very important is that your temperature is rising. Progesterone causes our body temperature to rise with half a degree. What's actually quite a lot if we think that normally we have an average of 36.7 degrees. A half a degree is a lot, because if we do a lot of big sports, our core temperature rises. If it's already higher, it's more difficult to recover. Yeah, so women can, in hot countries, like where we live in Spain, where in Cyprus, I see quite a lot of people have locked in from Cyprus. That time you will start, if you want to run, you can't continue. You don't understand why. You're sweating like hell. It's because your core temperature is already higher. Because of that, your heart rate is higher. Breathing frequency is higher and more difficult to recover. So listen to that. It's the progesterone. We can't take that away, and it is like that. Yeah. So end of the cycle, we get again our period. We start with day 0. Yeah. During the period and the time before, we get a little bit of grumpiness. We don't want to do everything. It's because the hormones are going down. Hormones almost 0. Yeah, remember, it's like that. It's coming, and the next month it will come, and then, but it is like that. So if we have a small summary, is our cycle is average 28 days. With, in the beginning, when we have our menstruation, listen to the menstruation. You have symptoms, so take it easy, don't push yourself. But from day 2 till 5, remember there are some women that can peak. Yeah, so see if you have the same. In the follicular phase, it's in the first 2 weeks. It's good to train. After that period, go for it. Long muscle building, turn your fat, burn your fat, high energy, because you can do it, because we have a lot of estrogen. With the peak around the ovulation after 14 days, we want sex, we have to be happy, etc. Use it. But also listen to, after the last 2 weeks, high progesterone. We don't want anymore. We have to get pregnant. We have to be prepared. So don't start pushing. More relax. Focus on the recovering. Rehydration. It's normal to gain weight. It's normal to crave. Listen to the body. Continue training. But especially on the end, just before the period, focus on the technique. Focus on the recovery. Yeah. This is all very theoretic. Yeah. And unfortunately, we don't know if it's actually really true because we don't have research. There's one study from 2020 that they ask a lot of athletes to fill in a questionnaire, high professional athletes. And 75% from the athletes said, yes, I noticed that my cycle is affecting my training and my performance in a bad way, but also in the good way. I'm always a very positive person. We cannot change. We are a woman. We have to be proud of it and we have to use it. I love the word empowerment, so listen to it. So theoretically, this is the case, but first see if it's with you like that. So I'm fond of menstruation tracking. Now I give the word back to Lisa. Menstruation tracking. Lisa, do you know what it is? Do you know how and what? Do you do it?
Yeah, so actually I am really I started looking a little bit more into it after we had the conversation after Tunisia, because yeah, I had some difficulties with it as well as an athlete, and we will talk about more of that because it also had to do with my birth control and those kind of things. But I was actually very lucky that I discovered that my Garmin has this kind of like period tracking. So I just included a couple of screenshots here. So for example, ladies, if you have a Garmin, really check this out because you can just put in the Garmin when you will actually have your period. So for example, for me, that would have been the 16th until the 18th. For me, this time it was only one day, so I still have to change it a little bit. But that way also Garmin really helps you tracking of your cycle, even though if it's not always that regular, it really helps you to also like send you push notifications like, hey, you should have your cycle soon. So you're like, okay, well, as Femke said, we can now focus more on technique or more on endurance or those kind of things. And for example, like as you can see, I had my period this weekend and I really felt towards the weekend was getting closer that for example like pushing for me as a trail runner on the uphills, it was just not possible. Like I was going maybe like 5 meters and then my body was like, this is not functioning. But what I could do instead of pushing on the uphills, I could focus a lot more on my technique on the downhills. So I could really focus more on also like improving my technique, on really going faster. And the interesting thing is that I was really going faster. So it is also true that you can like better concentrate. And those insights I just actually got through tracking my period. And so that's on the left, you can really track your period. And then for example, like on the third and the fourth, I put some notes for myself as well. And then those notes can be, for example, like I know this is in Spanish, but those notes can be, for example, like if you feel tired, if you have some stomach issues, if you feel very bloated, but also how you feel like mentally. If you feel mentally like just fine, if you feel very happy, maybe very sad, maybe very like annoyed, those things you can also add. And then even you can also add if you have any, yeah, if you have any juice, let's say, in your underpants, if it's maybe just like something very clear, something very clear white, if it's also like a little bit of blood, a lot of blood, something weird. So that's actually also very nice to, in my opinion, to track if you're really interested in your own health. That you can also see like, hey, so maybe like 2 weeks in advance, sometimes I get like a little bit more, yeah, like a clear push in my underpants, and then sometimes I don't. And just to know a little bit more about yourself, because as Femke said, we have over 400 periods. So if at least we can understand a couple of them, I think that would be nice, right? So really I mean, you don't have to specifically use the Garmin one, but in my opinion, it really helps. Also, if you just want to write it down in a notebook, I think it's very interesting information for you to have, to also not really that you only have to train according to your period, but that you understand a little bit more why, for example, your training might not be going as good as it is supposed to go.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, because this is indeed exactly what I think. So menstrual tracking means, for the people that don't know it, you literally track the cycle. So you divide the cycle in the 4 parts: period, follicular, the luteal phase, and luteal phase in the beginning and the end, and see how you feel. So you're literally going to write down week by week, and you do 3 cycles, and from that on, you know how your body is responding. Normally, I advise, especially in high professional ones, to do that very often, because even an event outside, your mother gets sick, I don't know, you had a fight with your boyfriend at the wrong time in the cycle, it all affects the training. And it's a matter of understanding your cycle. So like you now, Lisa, didn't get frustrated because you couldn't get uphill, you don't get angry with yourself. So no, I know, because it's the progesterone. So I can never do that. So let's focus on the positive. I always believe focus on the positive thing, instead of seeing typical normal woman thing like the period that many people do not like to talk about. I know I was raised that I had to hide my tampons in my pocket because it was something filthy. I trained a lot. And okay, I was lucky. I never had problems with my period, but it was always something we needed to hide. And for me, I hope with webinars like this is just spread the word. We're women, we have a period, we're getting in the menopause, we bleed, it's part of it, we get pregnant. Yes, that's a nice thing about it, maybe, maybe not. But use it, it's positive, but understand your body. And as long as we don't have good research, be your own researcher. Tell your neighbor that you now know how you work, and listen to your body. Listen to your own unique body. And in that way, you can do many things training wise.
I always say it's a lot better to work with your body than to work
Exactly.
against it, because working against your body, you will only be the loser. At the end, you're only going to lose. So just try to understand your body and then how to best work with it, and you will get amazing results, truly.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Okay, guys. So actually, this was the webinar that we prepared for you. We don't know if you have any questions or things you would like to share with us. Oh no, that was not the intention. So yeah, if you want to share anything with us or ask us any questions,